Hey everyone, welcome back to Prairie Wings. I'm Merle Mayer, and today we're working on a C7 Corvette. This happens to be a 2014 Stingray, and what we are doing today is dealing with cooling system issues. So we're going to be looking at the thermostat. We're going to be looking at doing a cooling system flush, not flush, and you're not going to see me doing all the work to it, but I am going to give you details on how, where, and more importantly, the why of what we're doing things here. So hopefully this helps you out if you are having some issues with your Corvette. This one is overheating, and we're going to deal with that. This car came in, one of the things that we're dealing with is the cooling system in this car, and it was overheating. Now, on a Corvette, there's a few things that can cause overheating issues. A real common one is between the condenser and the radiator, they'll fill up with gravel because they're sitting on such an angle. Had that a few times. Pull the front end apart, clean it all out, solves the overheating issues. This one here, just preliminary look, looks really clean. This thing has boiled over. Someone's modified it. I don't know if someone's messed with the tune, anything, but what they would like to do to start is we're going to be changing the thermostat, flushing the cooling system, not really flushing it, and changing the rad cap. So first of all, I thought it would be a good idea to check the pH and the coolant strength of this thing because they said it has boiled over before. I don't know how much coolant was in it. The overflow was fairly low. So I tested the pH in the coolant tank, and the pH was around 6 in the coolant overflow tank, and the antifreeze was not very good. Then I tested the pH coming out of the bottom of the rad as soon as I opened the drain plug, and the pH was at about 7.5, should be around 8, and it was actually good for -40. So I don't know what's happened with this car, but what we're going to get into is we're going to, well, like I said before, change that thermostat, rad cap, and coolant. Now, I said about flushing it. The pH to me is important, and I don't want to mess with things. So I actually have coolant coming that is premix coolant that we're going to be putting in, and we are going to chase all of the coolant out of here that we can. So pulling the block drains, we are going to blow out the heater core, blow everything out that we can, all with air without adding any flush chemicals, anything to that, because the pH wasn't off the scale with anything. And us putting in new coolant that's totally stabilized without getting any of the other old coolant mixed in as best possible, I think is the best case scenario for this, so that we don't end up with corrosion problems. What happens with pH, I guess we'll get a little deep into this. We have different types of metal in this engine, and when you have something that is acidic with different kind of metals, it ends up with creating a slight voltage. So we can end up with corrosion from the acidity, as well as we can have problems with the engine with etching and the whole cooling system because of a really low voltage battery that can cause some problems. So we'll take care of that. Okay, first thing to do is to start draining the coolant out. So this is the coolant drain. It's going to drain out the bottom. As you can see, I've already got that out and drained, and then this hose we'll deal with when we get to the bottom. We'll talk more about it. Now that we're underneath here, we need to get the block drains out, and on the driver's side, what we have is we have an actual oil cooler here, and the block drain on this side, it's at the back, and this oil cooler has oil running through it as well as coolant running through it. And so where this gets its coolant from is from the block drain on this side. And then we have a coolant pipe that runs up to the rad right here. And so instead of us pulling that drain out there, we can take this off. And what it is it's got a clip on it that is facing in this direction. Just take a pick and pull that out, and then this pulls off that fitting on the rad. And then what we can do is we're going to be blowing through everything once it's all open. And this, by the way, is where the radiator drains. It's the mount as well as a drain from up top. The other side is just a mount if you're looking at that. Now, on the other side, of the car, this little plug right here is what's in the block drain. And this is a 8 mil Allen key for that plug. And what I use, I'll just drop that for now, is a long ratchet extension to get in, and you can go in right behind the cat and get straight up into it. Now, if you look way up in there, you can see the plug is out and the block is drained. The only way that you can get to that is if you pull the starter off. So the thing is, you need to pull this off and pull this bolt. Now, when the starter comes off, before you put it back on, you got to make sure that you put this around the starter to get up in there, because it would suck if you started putting it back together and forgot this. These are all 6 mil bolts. They take a 10 mil wrench to get off. The starter itself is just two 13 mil bolts that come out here. So once you have that shield off, you just drop this down. Before you do that, you have to disconnect the battery. This is a dry sump car, so the battery is actually in the trunk of this car. But you just want this starter down out of the way, enough clearance that you can get to that block drain, let it drain out, and then reassemble it. So that is what we are going to do with this. This thermostat housing, it's just 3 bolts. They're 10 millimeter wrench to get them out. It's very easy to get out on these cars. Now, the thermostat actually lives in here. And to get the thermostat out, it's quite easy. Just pulls out. They are supplying all their own parts. This right here is, I believe, an 180. I will look at that. So 180 or 82 Celsius, I believe, is what that one was. And this one here doesn't have markings on it other than it looks like it's a GM. So this is a stock thermostat, probably going to be a 190 or higher. So they have chosen to go with a cooler one. They don't really want to worry about the tune, but on a Corvette, you can change in the tune when the fans go on and off. We're not going to do that. What we're going to do is get this thermostat back in the car. Well, first we're going to blow everything out, get the thermostat back into the car, top it up with coolant, and we will see how this thing reacts to that. They're going to take it and drive it. This is looking inside the thermostat housing, and if you look in there, there's a shadow there. This port goes to your heater hoses. So what you want to do is you want to shove a rag in there with the air line going past, blow that out. That will blow out your heater hoses, and that is going to be the remainder of the coolant. And you can see it is running. I just finished blowing it, so we're draining the rest out there. Just a quick note here. This is stuck in one position, and you can see the length difference. This is probably, it might have overheated for some other reason, but this is probably no longer good. It sounds like the car has overheated a few times. So anyway, I'm glad we're changing this. Just make sure the O-ring's in good shape. These are a permanent piece of this. You can't change them. Well, I've never done one. Easy as that. Okay, the thermostat's back in, thermostat housing back on. Again, it's just these 3 bolts or 6 mil bolts, which takes 10 mil wrench, and these 2 hose clamps. I have the plier to do them, but you can do them with the normal pliers. Here's what it looks like when you put the clip back on. That goes back to the oil cooler. So it is in place, and it just snaps back on. As long as that O-ring's in good shape, you're good to go. Boiling points, rad caps, they change. If I take and I boil something at sea level, it's under more pressure than it is at a mountain. So the boiling point is actually raised at sea level. Well, what we do is we create another atmosphere by upping the pressure that this can boil at. So what I do is I put a 20-pound rad cap on this, increasing the boiling point. Well, a car, the engine, the coolant in it is running above the normal unpressurized boiling point. And what would happen if I didn't have the cap on is this thing would just boil out. Have you ever seen a car on the side of the road with the hood up, steam coming out? Well, that means it's not holding pressure, or it's gotten hot enough that it's overcome the cap. We don't want to do that. So on this thing, we're pretty sure the thermostat's failed, But did the cap cause the problem? I can test this cap. For the price of it, we're just changing the cap because we want to have the boiling point as high as possible in this car so that we aren't worried about that coolant boiling out and cooking the car. This little Corvette, it's all buttoned up, and it's been through 2 complete heat cycles, and it is working good. It's not getting hot at all. I'd like to go for a test drive. That's going to happen tomorrow. It's pretty nasty outside. I don't want to take this outside. Talking about that, I did get probably about 11 quarts in. I believe the capacity is just over 11 quarts. And so the way I got the coolant out of this, it was, successful. We probably got 99% of the coolant out. And there was nothing when I pulled the block drains or any of the drains out. There was no surprises in there. So I'm not real worried that there was any crud or anything in there. It's good that we did it because of the difference in the pHs. And that's another point. The pH level of the new coolant, well, it was about 8.5. That was new right out of the jug, out of the GM jug. And so I'm pretty confident that the coolant is going to be good in this, as well as the overheating problem is fixed. And the way that I went about this, you can do it on any car. It's Corvette cool, yep. But lots of other cars, you could deal with the overheat problem or cooling system the same way that I did this. And it should help you out with that. And hopefully this video did help you out, gave you some basic information on cooling systems. I'd love to hear your comments and your ideas that maybe I could have done something different. That'd be great. But please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching so much. I really appreciate you checking the channel out.